Today, we're going to be ranking teenagers. Okay, not like that. I recently got into the Persona franchise, and quite the journey so far. So I figured as a little way to kind of show my love for the series so far, we're going to be ranking the main playable protagonist of Persona 3, 4, and 5. Imagine there's an asterisk behind that. I have only played Vanilla 5 and 3 Reload, so if you're expecting, like, Junpei to be an F, I'm sorry to hear it, but, well, you're gonna have to wait and see, won't you? Let's dive right in. Spoilers, vaguely. I'm gonna try and keep it generally, like, just to their character. I will mention specific things I like, obviously, so if you haven't played any of the games, or if you don't intend to, whatever, stick around and enjoy. Okay, so I'm going to quickly explain my tiers, because I've customized it a little. This was a preset, but I have customized the tiers. Dookie is pretty self-explanatory. This is just characters that I actively do not like. Spoiler alert, there are only 2 characters that will end up here. Can you guess who, based on just the general vibe? Next, we have Wasted. This is for characters who I think are just completely wasted in their game. They don't have a lot going on, or they don't leave much of an impression on me, or basically okay, I should say. It's just characters that are like, yeah, you know, they're good, I guess, I just don't love them a ton. You know, maybe there's something holding them back from something higher, but they're not terrible. Now we're cooking. These are for the characters that are cooking. They're pretty great. They're standouts. They're almost perfect, except they're not quite legends of the game. These are for characters who I just absolutely adore, both in gameplay, story-wise, personality-wise, etc. This is going to be quite the ranking, and if you disagree with me, first off, I think you're wrong and stupid, and second off, fair enough. You know, how about you post your own ranking of these teenagers in the comments below? Or, you know, don't do that. It's entirely up to you. Let us begin by placing our protagonists. I think that P4 and P3, they're cooking. They're cooking. However, this is going to be maybe divisive. I'm going to put Joker in okay. Because the Persona protagonists that I've observed are just kind of, you know, they're obviously blank slate characters. They have basically the personality you give them. But I'm going based off the options that you are given. I think Persona 4 Protag is probably the best of the 3, just because he has such a clear and distinctive voice, even though he has multiple options and you give him a voice. He comes off as a lot more, like, confident, but also sort of kind of weird with it, which I like. Makoto from 3. Makoto, I think, yeah, he's solid. You know, very sort of detached kind of vibe, which, you know, fair enough, whatever. Joker is then okay, just because I think he has a very strong setup to be interesting, but a lot of his answers are either just kind of flat or, you know, generically sort of rebellious. There are some dialogue options where they kind of emphasize his more rambunctious sort of anti-authority nature, but for the most part, I don't know, he just doesn't hit me in the same way that the other 2 do. And obviously there's a lot of subtle things that we could get into, you know, but none of them are bad. I cannot stress this enough. None of these 3 are bad characters in any way. I just think the Joker is probably my least favorite of the 3. So that's how that goes. Alright, next up, Junpei Iori. This man right here, he's a legend of the game. He's a very high tier legend of the game, I should say. Junpei in 3. Now, I have heard that in the original version of 3 and in Portable, etc., he comes off as more kind of annoying. But here, for Reload, I think he's a very solid and well-rounded guy. I enjoy how friendly he can be, how outgoing he can be. I like a lot of his bad jokes. You know, there's a relatability in there that I love about him a ton. I respect the fact that he does kind of come into conflict with the player a few times. You know, because obviously he wants to be seen as a hero, and he's not in charge. I'm in charge. Me! I'm the boss. He's second in command. But I do respect the game for kind of acknowledging that and having that come to a head at a few specific points. And his relationship with Chidori, I think, is just, it's very well-rounded. I would have liked a bit more with them, but It is what it is. I was so glad I managed to get the flowers for her. That was really good. There's just something very charming about that dynamic as well. It's very unfortunate that it gets cut short the way that it is, but then the game kind of gives you hope again with her revival. Spoilers, but whatever. I like to think that after the game maybe he made it work with her, or maybe he just kind of I don't know. You know, I like to think that they kind of found their way back to each other again at the end of the game. Yukari is going in the okay tier.
You're so dumb. Feeling good.
Perfectly okay character, perfectly good character. I think her arc with her parents and kind of her relationship to them is very interesting. Her dynamic with the main character is, you know, it's interesting. There's a fun kind of back and forth there. I don't like how mean she can be sometimes, especially to Junpei. I don't know, I didn't have her in my party too much. At a certain point, I think I replaced her probably with Mitsuru, to be honest. Like, you know, mechanically, I think she works very well as a character, but I don't know. I didn't love everything about her, but she's okay. She's all right. I don't have any strong negative feelings about her. I guess is a legend of the game. I guess is a legend of the game. Considering how late into the game she's introduced, and how late it takes for you to get her social link. Very strong presence, I must say. Design-wise, very cool. I like her little, you know, her head thing that she's got. Very fun. Just a very endearing character, and I think that the final cutscene with her on the roof, my god. I shed legitimate tears at that. It was so good. I think her arc of learning and kind of becoming more human over time is very effective. Very effective. I like how sometimes she parrots what other characters say, which is very cute. She's just a very likable character. I haven't played episode Aegis, but I'm assuming that's probably going to be good. I don't know, more Aegis seems like a good thing to me, but fair enough. Also, she's just a tank in the battlefield. She as soon as she joined my party, she was never leaving, just because of how to the point a lot of her moves are, which I do respect a lot. Akihiko is cooking.
Being hard on myself and competing with others was the only way I was going to do that. But now, I have people who I want to protect. Good for you!
And this is mainly for, I think, the second half of the game. For a good majority of the game, I thought Akihiko was a pretty solid guy. You know, he's very fitness obsessed, and he's sort of singular in his focus. He's funny, but he's kind of is a bit stupid sometimes. However, once October 4th comes and passes, I think Akihiko really kind of steps up into the next category and starts to become someone that I'm more invested in emotionally. The scene where the scene after Shinji's funeral, I think, beautiful stuff. The first time I actually kind of teared up at the game, and certainly not the last. I think his voice actor, I want to highlight his voice actor in particular here. I think his name is Alejandro Saab, but the scene at Shinji's funeral, the vocal performance there, devastating work. That goes for a lot of the voice acting in 3 Reload, but devastating work. Beautiful stuff. I cannot stress that enough. Mitsuru is going in the cooking tier as well.
I suppose you'll need to be executed.
Much like Akihiko, I think she took a bit of time for me to get on board with her as a character, but the mystery surrounding her and her connections to what's going on and the Kijiro group and their dealings, I think, is really interesting. Her social link is, I don't know how I feel about it. The whole arranged marriage thing, and then us kind of having to help her push back against that, I think, is interesting. It's not quite where I thought we were going to go with that, but it works. It works well for her character, I think. She's got a lot of fun moments that kind of endear her a bit, but definitely took a little while to get there. But once we did, I think she joins Akihiko pretty firmly up there, actually. So no complaints. Fuka, we're cooking with Fuka.
Lemons.
I like Fuka. She might be my favorite navigator. I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see as the video goes on, because I don't want to spoil things right away. There's a little something called suspense. I'm building suspense, but Fuka is great. She's just a very sweet character. I think the only thing keeping her from legend status is the fact that I don't love her social link. It's focused a little too much in the wrong area. I think if her social link was more focused on her relationships to technology and all of that kind of stuff, because there's a good setup there. But a lot of her social link is about just kind of cooking and stuff, and like that's fine, that's fun, but I don't know, it could have been more unique. We could have had this more uniquely tailored to her specific kind of character traits. Yeah, also she got a cool haircut. I don't know, I fuck with her hair, it's pretty cool. So Shinji is going in the cooking tier. I don't know if that's controversial or not. I must confess, I didn't really get far into his social link, so that's kind of on me. I'm sure he'll be higher when I replay the game and decide to actively spend more time with him. But I think the setup, the mystery around him for the first several hours is very compelling. His obvious connection to Akihiko and how that's explored later on, I think is it's strong, and I think it serves as a great way to kind of explain where both of those guys are at in the present day. I admit, didn't really take him into battle that much at all, to be honest, which is unfortunate, because I think that maybe would have bumped him up a bit. That's kind of on me. Shinji's really only in the cooking tier because of my own lack of interaction with him. But I think what we do get is such a strong foundation that when October 4th happens in the game, it does hit. It does hit emotionally. I think it hits the correct beats. I think it struck me in such a specific way because of how just accepting he was of everything, only to then put himself on the line for Ken. I think that's very strong character work there, and his death ultimately serves as good motivation for everyone else, and really Akihiko, obviously. So he's going in the cooking tier. Ken, and this I don't think this didn't have Koromaru, but I'm gonna lump the two of them together. They're gonna go in the you know what? We're gonna chuck them in okay. Ken has a very decent basis for his character, you know, a little kid, and he awakens to a persona, and his personal quest to kind of get revenge for what happened to his mother a few years ago and trying to find a reason to live. I think that's all very solid, and I do like some of the quieter moments with him where it's clear, this kid's depressed, we need to help him. That's very strong. I don't love a lot else about him, though. A lot of the more light-hearted moments didn't really hit for me. But, you know, I think he's a very okay character. I don't have any particularly strong feelings towards him. Same with Koromaru. Koromaru is cute. He's a cute doggo. He's a heckin' puppery. But, you know, he's okay. I like that there's just a dog on the team and he doesn't talk. I think the best thing in his favor is that he doesn't talk at all. Because if he did, oh boy, Ken fans are gonna cook me, but that's just how I feel. Oh yeah, oh we're getting good now. Chie is a legend of the game. In this house, we are a Chie household. In this, man, you have no idea. She's the GOAT. She's the GOAT. I really like her fuck ass haircut. I'm sorry, I love the funny haircut. Chie is a remarkably fun character. I am so endeared to her from the minute that we meet her. I love the vocal performance here. She's got a lot of energy. She has, I think, maybe 2 brain cells in her head, and one of them is on loan from Yosuke. But, you know, she's gold tier. She's gold class. She's remarkable. Her social link is very strong too. It reinforces her kind of desire to help other people and to use her sort of strengths in that manner. I think is very solid, very likable character. The GOAT, best girl in the game, legend of the craft, just going up in the legend tier. Likewise, Kanji is going very high in the legend tier.
Pheromones.
Kanji might be my favorite character in, honestly, the entire series so far. I don't know, I think he's a very strong character. You get such a good introduction to him. He's this menacing sort of, you know, gruff guy. There's a lot of rumors around the school about him. Oh, he beat up a whole gang. Oh, he's in a gang. He's got a bunch of stuff going on. And then when you actually, you know, you go into his dungeon and you get Troy Baker doing like the gayest voice I've ever heard in my life, and that's saying a lot, but it's very eye-opening in the sense of like it finally lets you get in a bit on what Kanji's going through. He's into arts, he's into crafting and sewing and such, and yet he's harassed and he feels the need to prove himself as manly, so he kind of hypes himself up a lot. I think that's very... There are parts of that I think are relatable. Maybe not necessarily to the same degree, but I think there are parts of myself that can relate to Kanji. You know, what is a man and all that jazz. I think Kanji is very strong in that regard. I like his relationship to Naoto a lot. I like that he's into Naoto before he realizes that she's a girl. I think that's very interesting. Do I think Kanji is bisexual? Maybe. Maybe I believe that. I don't know. I don't think he particularly cares that much, to be honest. I think he just wants to be accepted by people, which I like. He's a very kind and caring figure, which I do respect. He's very funny too. He has some of my favorite lines in the whole game, favorite line deliveries as well. Kanji really is just a go. I can make a whole video talking about Kanji because I do like him a lot. Also, he has not left my party a single time. He has never left my party. And that tells you a lot because I like to swap out characters fairly often. He's never left. He's never left. I love that his default weapon is just a folding chair. He's just got a folding chair. Kanji is a legend of the game, and he always will be in my heart. Naoto is a legend. She's a legend of the game.
You know, Naoto,
What is it?
you got balls. For a girl.
The Detective Prince, you know, Goro Akechi's predecessor. Very strong, standout character. Design-wise, you know, great stuff. I like the hat. The hat is just, you know, I love a character who's got a distinctive wardrobe piece. Love the hat. I don't know, I like how her arc is sort of focused on her trying to be someone else. Like, she's, you know, she's presenting more masculine, and she's trying to, like, come across as, you know, a certain way. I think is interesting. I don't know what the fan consensus is. I don't agree with the idea that Naruto is like a trans man, in the sense of so much of her story I think is about just the fact that she's, like, you know, she's presenting a certain way, but that's clearly not quite how she feels inside. Like, she's not, I don't know, it's hard to explain, and I'm sure someone with more sort of articulation would be able to kind of stress this a bit more. But regardless, I think that her dungeon's great as well. I love the design and aesthetic of that. I love how we come in and she's just bullying her shadow. That's kind of funny. That made me chuckle a bit. But, you know, once she joins our party and we get some more time with her, I think she really livens up a lot as a character. Her dynamic with Kanji is a lot of fun. She's a legend. Rize is okay. I think she's the GOAT navigator. A lot of her buffs, a lot of her social link skills, etc. are very useful. Actual game changer. And I think that her dungeon is very solid and strong. I think it's the first dungeon in the game that made me, like, deeply uncomfortable. There's such an unsettling quality. Like, her shadow, like, the portrait of her shadow, put it on screen. The portrait of her shadow is so eerie. Like, just the way her eyes are all bugging out and shit, it's so creepy. It's so creepy. And the design of the boss itself, insanity. I don't know who came up with that, but they both need an award, and they need to maybe sit down and, you know, think about some things for a bit. But I think it's fascinating how that plays into her kind of internalized conflict of seeing herself and seeing Rosette, and kind of having to... seeing herself in such a overtly, like, objectified manner, kind of like how a lot of the world seems to see her, is very interesting. It's very telling of her character. But, you know, she's a fun addition to the group. She needed to calm down a few times. She was putting some demonic moves on the protagonist for, like, no reason, I guess. Very off kilter every single time. Very over the top. But, you know, just a pretty okay character, but a phenomenal navigator. I'll give her that much. Teddy and Morgana are going in Dookie.
Stop blabbering and let me talk too!
I do not like either of them. I do prefer Morgana to Teddy, because Morgana at least has moments where I don't actively hate him. Teddy is just deeply fucking insufferable. I like that he just becomes a twink randomly. He just manifests a twink for himself. That's funny. Very weird hearing the voice come out of it, though. It's very strange. There are hardly any moments where I actually laughed at Teddy or felt endeared to him, because he's always on. He's either saying the most unfunny, like, pun that I've ever heard, and listen, I like puns. I appreciate a pun. His puns are insufferable to me. But also just the amount of fucking This guy is trying to hit on every woman that he sees. It is insane. Keep him away from Nanako. Jesus Christ. He needs to be... someone needs to put him in a box or something and ship him somewhere, because he cannot be trusted around anybody. He is insufferable. I like during the festival thing, he just fully owns the cross-dressing bit. That's funny. Bro looking like Alice from Alice in Wonderland over here. That's kind of funny. But yeah, he's just insufferable. I do not like him. Morgana I don't like as well. They're in the same tier, obviously. But at the very least, I think Morgana has a stronger arc overall of trying to figure out who or what he is. And, you know, it's a more personable story. And his role in the main sort of finale, I think, is stronger than Teddy. It's very strong overall. But I still don't like Morgana. He just comes off as a bit too mean. Sometimes he's always starting shit with Ryuji. And I don't remember the exact line, but he tells Futaba she should have just, like, stayed inside or some bullshit. I'm like, bro, come... Jesus. He's just very mean, and not really in a funny way to me. But there are a couple moments where Morgana makes me chuckle. So in that sense, he's better than Teddy, but really not by much. I don't like either of them. Yosuke is cooking.
Why can't I be smarter?
I debated where to put Yosuke internally, but he's cooking. He's very funny. Yuri Lowenthal has one of my favorite voices in just voice acting as a whole. I love hearing him in things, and his line deliveries are some of the funniest fucking things I've ever heard in a video game. I love it when he yells because something goes wrong for him. It's very funny. When Hanako breaks his scooter, that's so good. I'm gonna play the sound that he makes. It's so good. He's a pretty good friend to the player. He's contestable among everyone else. Some of the things that come out of this boy's mouth remind me that this game came out like in 2000, and I think the original came out in 2008 or something like that. It reminds me it came out back then. Just the outlandish things he says. You know, the whole motorcycle arc, hilarious, very funny, very awkward. He's such a fucking goober of a kid. It's very funny. If he became a romance option in the remake of 4, that would be cool. I don't think they're gonna do that. That would be kind of cool. I don't know, because his social link, there are a few moments where I was getting a vibe that maybe that's where we're going, but we don't really get to that. I wouldn't mind if he was romanceable in the remake. I don't think that's gonna happen though. But yeah, Yosuke is cooking. Yukiko is going in the okay tier. I don't know if this is controversial or not. I think she's a solid character. You know, the foundation of her is strong enough. I think she's got some good quirks to her. I like that she just, when she laughs, she just keeps going. That's a good bit that never really got old. But, you know, I think her story involving kind of the inheritance of the Amagi Inn and her initially wanting to run away from the town and do something else, only to kind of realize that she should stay with her friends and take over anyway. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's a solid start, but I didn't personally find the payoff too satisfying. Honestly, I think she's probably the weakest of the P4 main cast, which is saying something because I think they're all pretty solid. But yeah, unfortunately, I think for me, she's kind of the weak link there, so she's going in okay. We're cooking with Ann. And the only thing keeping Ann higher is the fact that I think after Kamoshida, she sort of loses a bit of her urgency and drive in the narrative. We have a very good start. You know, she has, you know, her best friend Shiro is being horrifically tormented, and her, you know, jumping off the building is insane, and she's getting groomed by Kamoshida. There's a lot there, and the moment where she awakens her persona and takes action into her own hands, great moment. That's the first time playing Persona 5 that I really kind of locked in. That's a great moment. Unfortunately, after Kamoshida, her significance in the story kind of wanes a little bit. I like that she's present when we name the Phantom Thieves for the first time. I don't love that her social link is mostly about her connection to other people. I think in some instances that can work. That's honestly kind of The same thing with Makoto, which we'll get to Makoto later, but also I don't know if anyone else agrees with me. I think she might have my least favorite Phantom Thief costume. Too much red, for one thing. I don't know, I could have used more black. Second off, come on, man. Some of the camera angles and the positions they're putting her in, chill out. Japan, Atlas, whoever did this, calm down. Yusuke is okay. I don't know, he's okay.
What are you doing with those lobsters?
Like Arn, he has a very strong introduction. The moment where it's revealed, the truth behind Madarame is revealed, great moment. And I think that Matt Mercer vocally is terrific in that scene. I also like his design. He's got a cool look. To contrast with Arn, he's got a very cool design that I like. But unfortunately, he's just kind of one note after that. A lot of the times Yusuke is kind of just, haha, it's funny that he's a weird guy, and he's very over the top, and he's dramatic, and he's very obsessed with art. And I think that's a lot of his dialogue and character interactions turn into basically just that. And like, yeah, he's an odd bloke, but we are allowed to do other things with characters, you know. His social link is alright. It's nothing to write home about. But I like how much of it is just kind of about him specifically, which I like. But yeah, I don't know. He's okay to me. After his introduction, he really just kind of becomes scenery almost to me. It's whenever he contributes, it's usually just kind of, haha, he's weird. Points for his fun bickering with Futaba, though. That's something. Ryuji is a legend of the game.
Are you for real? For real? For real? For real? Real too? For real? It's for real? For real? For real? For real? For real? For real?
He was the first legend of the game, because the Persona 5 was the first game in the series I ever played, and he's a legend through and through. I adore this goofy little motherfucker. He's so funny. I like his hair. His hair's kind of epic. I like how much depth there is to him underneath the surface. I think he shares that with Kanji in the sense that both of them present a very specific kind of rough way, but beneath the surface they're more sensitive and kind of caring people. Obviously he lives with a single mother, and he's trying to do his best. He doesn't want to cause trouble, but at the same time he's got this sort of hot streak in him where he can't let things go. Absolutely breaks my heart what Kamoshida did to him before the game, because you really feel that. Kamoshida, I think, is one of the most vile and despicable villains in a game, because even after he's long gone, the effects of him are still there. Just look at Ryuji. Look at his fucking stance, man. It's a very iconic posture, but like, Jesus Christ, that boy, it never healed correctly, clearly. He's always with me. I think his social link is very effective too. Again, it focuses mostly on him, but we also get some stuff with the track team and him trying to kind of make amends for that. I don't love how many times he gets beat up in the game, though. The track team do it, and that kind of was bad enough, but whatever. But I really hate the moment after Shido's palace, where he makes a big play to save everyone, and it seems like he sacrificed himself, and everyone's sad for a moment, but then obviously he's fine, he made it out, and everyone immediately just beats the fuck out of him. Everyone just decks him immediately, and that really kind of annoyed me, because, like, we were just crying and mourning over him a second ago. Why are we doing this to him? It's not really that funny anymore. To be honest, it's never really a funny joke in the game. They do it a couple of times where Ryuji will just get fucking decked. We didn't need to do that to him that many times. The final part of his social link, where he's like, my place is with you type shit, I was like, that's good storytelling. He truly is just the best friend. And he's going up here, right to the top. I really like Ryuji. And another legend, we have Futaba. Futaba is very quirky and very internet. They really captured the dialogue of someone who has been shut in for several years and lives online. I think she's just very awkward. She's got some fun lines. But for me, I think what puts Futaba here isn't just her social link, which I think is very strong. You know, helping her overcome her sort of social anxieties, I think, is very strong. Very effective work there. But it's really, it's her palace that kind of pushes her up and above. For a start, I think it might be my favorite palace in the game. From a gameplay front, there's a lot of puzzle solving in this one, which I do enjoy. I think the enemy encounters are very strong. The environment is sick as hell. I like that it's like a giant pyramid, but there's some tech stuff in here as well. I'm uncovering the story behind her mother Wakaba and her relationship to Sojiro and what led to her death. Very compelling stuff, very strong mystery writing there. Learning the truth of all that and realizing that all this is kind of a projection of Futaba's sort of depression and self-hatred. Very strong stuff. Admittedly, the boss fight is not the greatest in the world. It's not the worst in the game, far from it. But it's just, I don't know, it's missing something, because once she, locks in, the fight is basically over. But, other than that, remarkable stuff. I also love the music in her palace as well. The music is a standout. It's really great. Erica Lindbeck does a terrific job with Futaba. She always sounds like she's about to go, actually, I think she does at one point, but just a very charming and likable character through and through. She's a pretty good navigator as well. Yeah, no notes. Legend of the game. Haru. Unfortunately, Haru is what the wasted tier was created for.
Wanna just beat it out of him?
Yes, Senpai.
For real? But...
Let me handle this. I'll allow it. You've got this, Noir.
Because, man, she's so wasted in this game. It doesn't help that we meet her so late. She doesn't come in until we're like a good chunk of the way through the game. And she comes in what I think is probably my least favorite storyline in the game. The Akumura Palace annoyed me even before the boss fight, which I know the boss is notoriously horrible, but the palace itself fucking annoyed me to no end. The goddamn corridors and tracking down the fucking enemy to fight or whatever just bothered me so much. I don't love the design of it as well. It's like kind of spacey, I guess. I like Okumura's boss design, but whatever. But Haru, for one, she shares a chunk of this arc with Morgana because Morgana's having his whole diva moment and splitting off from the group, and he's using her to kind of get back at us. So already, she has to share a good chunk of screen time with that stupid chud cat who I don't like very much. And secondly, once she does join our party, she doesn't get a ton to do. I didn't really get that far into her confidant. In fact, I don't think I got into her confidant at all, because at that point I think we're in the end game and I was just kind of like locked in. But I don't really have a strong sense of who she is as a person compared to everybody else. Like everyone else I can point to and say, well, they're this and that and the other, but Haru is like, I don't know. She's sort of reserved and nebbish, but she also wants to be a fabulous heroine. I like her design and her codename. They're very sick. Her powers as well, great stuff. But I don't know, she just did not leave a very strong impact on me. If I was including Strikers here, I would bump her up to okay, because Strikers actually gives her a fair bit to work with the whole the storyline with the mayor that she used to know. I think there's a lot of good steps in Strikers to make her a bit more sort of memorable, but unfortunately I don't think it's enough to save her from the wasted tier. She's the reason I invented this tier, so yeah, sorry Haru fans, but she's just not, she doesn't do it for me. She doesn't have a lot going on, nothing really that memorable. Yeah, sadly in the wasted tier. Makoto Nijima, she's a legend of the game. I like how present Makoto is from the beginning, how she's this sort of, dramatic and sort of very serious and focused, kind of hard-working, student council leader or whatever. I think that's very effective. I like the parts of the game where she's just following you around, and you can see her following you around. It's pretty funny. Like, little sister, you are not subtle at all. But really, for me, I think it's the moment where she becomes a Phantom Thief. Her design, sick as hell. I love how fucking violent and strong she gets when we're exploring the metaverse and mementos and all that jazz. It's very cool. Joanna, sick persona. She's got a motorbike. That's aura. That's so much aura. But I think this part of the game really does a good job at highlighting the stresses and the pressure that Makoto is under, because she's the principal is kind of just forcing her to look into the Phantom Thieves, and she's trying to live up to the expectations of the people around her, and she's worried about feeling useless, and it doesn't help that like 8 different characters basically call her useless within the span of a few hours, and her sister's low-key horrible to her during this stretch of the game. And so, you know, a crash out was warranted, but we don't really get one. I will admit, legend of the game, I don't love her social link. I don't love how much of her social link is focused on just this random other girl that she's friends with, and the whole kerfuffle of her boyfriend being a scumbag and all that jazz and trying to recruit her or whatever. Didn't really care much for that. It felt like Arn's, in that it was very much not about her, but rather just this other character. I don't give a shit about this other character. I don't care. I don't even remember her name. I didn't even write it down. But, you know, other than that, Makoto is a terrific character to me. I think that her dynamic with everyone is very strong. She's a very likable and sympathetic character. I feel tremendously bad for her. And last but not least, we have Goro Ikechi, who I'm including here. He's a legend of the game.
That's nothing! That's nothing!
Akechi, I can make a whole video about Akechi as well, and maybe I will. The Detective Prince of Persona 5, you know, he starts off as this very sort of overly fake, overly nice kind of guy, you know. For me, I was like, it's very clear that he's gonna be bad at some point, but I will admit, didn't see him betraying us coming. And he has every right to kind of crash out as often as he does. And now, I admit, I've only played vanilla, so I didn't get to experience his confidant. I will play Royal at some point, and I will maybe make a video on Akechi when I do play Royal. But even just the vanilla game gives us a lot of strong things to work with. The idea of this little kid, he's kind of alone, and he has to, you know, he's reaching high, and he's trying to be, you know, the smartest and the best, but he still feels like he's being kind of looked down on and ignored. It's very compelling. Shido is such a bastard of a man. I hate him so much, and his relationship with Akechi is, quite frankly, heartbreaking. You know, Akechi being used as an assassin for the metaverse in the hopes that it will maybe give him the ability to be acknowledged by his father is such a gut-wrenching detail. His boss fight is so fucking sick. When his big monologue beforehand and then after, great stuff. Pure cinema. Robbie Damon's voice performance is such a standout here. Also, that boy gay as hell. I know where you are, Akechi. I'll play Royal at some point. I'll make a video on Akechi, because I think he's a very compelling antagonistic figure within the game. And there's a lot that could be said about him, but I'm going to put him up here in the legend category, because he's so good. He's so richly compelling. He's also gay as hell, low-key. But, yeah. So, we have reached the end of the video. We've reached the end of the app. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you wish I would die after listening to all of this? If any of those are the case, feel free to let me know in the comments, because this is the first time I've really tried to talk about, like, a video game on the channel. And rest assured, I will be making more Persona videos in time, because this series has quickly shot up to being one of my favorite pieces of media around. So expect more Persona videos. Expect more videos just in general. If you stuck around to the end, tell you what, if you stuck around to the end, comment Teddy. If you made it to this point in the video, comment Teddy, and I'll like your comment, and that's how I know you made it this far. But yeah, thanks for sticking around, and yeah, still can't really do outros that well, so we're gonna just leave it here, and I will see you in the next video, you dirty little Vegemite munchers. Peace out, Toz out.